Okay, welcome back Physics 30s to our next lesson, and in this lesson we're going to be completing a two-dimensional collision lab. Okay, so in this lesson you're going to be looking at completing a lab of a two-dimensional collision. The collision is going to occur on this air table between these two pucks or masses. The reason that we're using this air table is to try and remove as much friction as possible. How the air trap works is that there's a hose hooked up to the puck, and it's going to have a pump that is going to pump air in and through the puck towards the table. This is going to create a kind of cushion of air that the puck's going to float on top of. So if we push the puck in one direction, it should continue to move in that direction at a constant velocity. And so we're going to use this track to collide those two masses and then measure if momentum is conserved. And how we're going to measure the movement of these two masses is with a spark timer. The spark timer makes sparks in between the puck and the table at a consistent rate. It's set at 50 hertz, which means 50 cycles or 50 sparks per second. This animation is a bit simple, but it gets the idea across that as the puck moves, it's going to be constantly setting these sparks down to the piece of paper below. And next we flip over that paper, and on the underside we can see the marks that the sparker made on the paper as the puck moved. And we can use these dots to determine the velocity at which the pucks were moving. We can first just look at them to figure out the angles, but we can also determine how fast they're going. We can look at the displacement between the sparks, and then we also have information about the time based off of the rate that it was sparking, the 50 hertz. So then with information about displacement and time, we can calculate our velocity with v is equal to d over t. Okay, so now that we know how the equipment works, let's complete our experiment. The first thing that we need to know is the masses of these pucks, which are 522.7 and 529.2 grams. Next, with the air track and the spark timer on, we push the two masses, release them at a constant velocity, and have them collide. Next, for our analysis, we'll look at those incoming lines and the outgoing lines and try and find the point at which the collision occurred. Next, at each of these collision points, we need to draw lines that are parallel to each other so that we're measuring angles in reference to the same plane. So for this, I measured consistent distances from the bottom of the page to get these two parallel lines, and now we can measure our angles. Next, to determine our velocity, we're going to look at 4 dots or 3 intervals of sparks and measure the distance between those 4 dots. As mentioned before, now we can use that displacement and compare it to the time elapsed in those 3 sparks to figure out how fast they were going. And that should be all that you need for these calculations. We know how fast they came into the collision and their angles, and how fast they left the collision and their angles as well. So here's all your data on the sheet of paper that the collision occurred on. We can see that the mass on the left came in at this angle of 51 degrees, and then it bounced off at this angle of 49.5 degrees. We know when it came in, those 3 intervals of time was measured to be 1.75 centimeters, and in your lab, you're going to have to determine how fast it was going after the collision. We can see on the other side that this mass on the right-hand side came in at this angle of 46 degrees and bounced off at this angle of 65 or 66.5 degrees. We have both of the measurements for this side. For those 3 intervals of time, we had 2 centimeters for its incoming velocity, and its outgoing or after collision was 1.8 centimeters. So that should be all the data you need to complete the lab. Okay, so I hope that made sense for you. Good luck in your calculations, and I will see you in the next video.